Hello YouTube, welcome back campaigners. This is Campaign Terrain. I am your host, Cross. And today, we're going to be using the same material we've been using for a couple of weeks now, the EVA. All we're using today is one material, but you can get it from different sources. We're using floor mat. You can use the work mat, you can use the yoga mat, you can use the play mat, you can use the letter mat. All of them are going to have these little puzzle edges right here. So that's basically what we're using. And I'm going to show you how to go from mat to rock to basic stacked rocks all the way up through all these stages to get a nice, playable, looks realistic on your table rock form. And there's a little special something at the end. I got a more epic build to it. So stick around for that. We're going to go from basic to epic. And I hope you come along for the ride. There's going to be a bump here in a minute. During that bump, please help out the channel. Like, share, subscribe. There's going to be some other links over here on the side. And I'll see you right after this. Thanks for coming. Okay, we're going to get right into this. We're going to take this stuff and turn it into this stuff. And then that's the whole process. It'll end up looking something like that or like that. It's an easy build, but it looks good on the table. So we're going to make some stuff like this, but a little bit later, I'm also going to show you how to advance it through some stages, through adding some sand. That's not dry yet, so sorry that looks a little weird. Painting that so it looks like dirt again. And then hitting it with some flock, and then I've got an actually much bigger, more epic thing at the end to show you. But there's other things you can do with it. This I've covered with a coating of baking soda and paint, and it gives us this sort of sandstone mottled look. This has the same coating, but with much less of the baking soda in it, and it comes off looking like windswept desert land. Rocks and stones, and you can take that and make it any color you want to match your desert. And I've got the same coating on these two, and then this is just paint with some flock attached so that it gives it a little mossy effect. And there's nothing to these, so let's hop right into that. Okay, we're going to take this floor mat. I've got the kind with the crosshatch on it. I've got the kind with the diamond plate on it, and I've got the kind that's the children's playmat that has a much tougher layer on it, but it's still the same stuff. It's just been heat treated and then painted. So you can use any of these, and what we're going to do is come up with a plate like this. Another one, I'm going to put it next to this one. One of these is going to have a smaller piece on it and then a little spire like this, and the other one's going to be a little bit longer and have a double stack sort of like this at each end. See how this is squared and I kind of cut it in straight lines to cut it? We want all of that gone. So what I'm going to do is take this and get just a little bit of the blade left out. There's two ways to do this. One is cut in an oval or whatever shape you want. Making kind of a weird lima bean thing here. Like that. And then yeah, there we go. And you want to just taper that down to the edges at the end. The alternative is go ahead and use your scissors or shears and make the angled cuts with those, but that's going to give a little bit more of an angled shape to it, and you're going to have to take care of that in a minute. And that this can also leave a ridge on it, so you're going to want to trim all the way within about 1 millimeter or a 1/16 of an inch of that edge. And you can use any type of scissors you want. This one's doing a pretty good job for getting these bigger edges, but if I want it smaller or to go inside this curve here, you might want something a little smaller and just take little divots out like that. And all we're trying to do is make it have a natural sort of rock shape to it. One good thing, you can fold this and bend it and move it around, and it'll mostly take its shape back, or you can alter its shape at the end with a little bit of heat. So if you need to, you can just bend it out of the way and make your cuts that way. Okay, I've cut most of those out. I wanted to show you the rest of the process. As you can see, it generates a lot of scrap, which is fine. I always use these and recycle them, use them to flesh out other builds, especially when putting like plaster over something, or I can use this to bulk it up. You can use some of this for rubble, whatever you want to do. Or you can just put it straight in your recycle bin, whichever. But I tend to keep mine for later projects. I like to stay a little bit green in our not very green hobby. Alright, let me show you how I got these. I took a piece like this and a marker. Doesn't matter what kind of marker, anything that'll show up on it, and just trace out the sort of shape you want. So if this one, let's just say I wanted to take advantage of this little corner over here. Now you want to make sure that you round all of the edges for these rocks, because it makes it a little bit harder to cut if you don't. And you want to try to avoid as much as possible these inner curves. They're just a little harder to cut, but you can do it. Now, two ways to do this. One, scissors the whole way and just take this and follow the line around and do that. And you get a cut that looks like this, which is pretty good, especially if you don't cut it all at once and you do multiple cuts at a time, because it gives you this sort of jagged look, which is great. All of this was covered in a previous video of mine. I'll try to put a link up here in the top for you, and it talks about how do you get these shapes and things like that. It also talks a lot about the XPS. This one's just about the EVA today. So you can cut with multiple cuts and you get those kind of jagged looks, which is good because you want to break this up and make it look like a jagged rock. Or you can take your knife and don't follow all the way around. Just cut sections of your pattern in stages. You want to kind of get that out of the way so you can see where you're going with the blade, and then make it a second pass. And you do not want to try to follow the exact same cuts as before. You want to follow the same line, but multiple little cuts. You can go ahead and cut pieces out of your way if you need to. And then, once you've got all those done, you even pull some pieces off. You end up with something that looks like this, which is a good starting place. And then you can take a pair of scissors and come back and just sort of trim those up. Now again, we want to round off these tops. Again, small little sections, because that gives it that jagged look. So you don't want to follow it all the way around. Just snip, 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 and there you have it. Let me get this one finished trimming up, and then I will be back to, nope, let me show you this one first. So this is my little spire. It's going to go right here, and what I'm going to do on this, I just stacked them. I made each ring a little bit smaller, each little disc, and then I don't necessarily want to have the little ledge on here. I want it sort of tapered like this one, but though not necessarily as much. So all I'm doing is taking the scissors and right at that edge, sort of pressing in a little and trimming that down. So let me get both of these trimmed, and I'm gonna get my spire glued on, and then I'll show you how to attach this and this to the top of it. Be right back. Got all those trimmed and finished. That's gonna attach right here. I've already attached this top one to it, so that's ready to go. Now, on this one, I noticed there's some blemishes that I don't really like. There's two ways to fix that. So let me show you. You can either take your scissors and sort of go back over it and trim those off again. Make sure any place where it's sticking up like that, you can just take that and trim it again. Or you can take some type of sanding device, like I like my sanding stick here, and you can take those and go over them as well. And there's nothing to it, just however you want to do it. You can even put some extra texture on there and rough things up with that if you want, whichever works for you. So, as it is, I already fixed it. This texture at the end is fine, but I got rid of some stuff over here. So that one's ready to go. This one, I'm going to put right here. Now, one of the things you want to make sure to take into account is if you can't fit a figure through there, it can count as partial cover in some games, so that gap will matter. So But what I'm trying to do on this one is move it just enough that I can fit that 1-inch base in there. And this has this little point on the end. It almost looks like a heart. So I'm going to try to account for that and leave room. So I think I'm going to put this here, and that's going to treat both of these as one level where they can walk. So I'm going to put that right there. And this is all there is to it. Put your glue on it. Again, I like to use medium temp just because it's less chance of burning yourself. And if you're using a foam that it'll melt, it won't melt this. But if you're using a foam that it'll melt, just makes it less likely to do so. That's it. Press it into place. You want to kind of squish that down. Now, it's going to stay warm for a little bit, so because the foams act as an insulator. You want to keep that pressed down for a moment just to give that time to cool a little and start to cool. You want it to cool in a thin layer, not a big gapped layer, because you don't really want a space down here. Now, part of this space is texture from the bottom of the EVA. So that's it. That's all there is to it. Thanks for coming. We'll see. No. I've got a couple extra things. If you stick around, there's going to be some more epic stuff that I can show you in just a moment with landscaping and all that. Otherwise, we really are done. This is it. You can put that right on your table. You can hit this with spray paint. Oh, unlike XPS foam, spray paint will go right on this. No problem. So, one last thing before painting it though. If you want to, and I usually do this, if you want to, you can heat the foam. So you can use a heat gun to do that, or you can use a blowtorch to do that. What that does is threefold. It gives it a sort of sheen texture, so it will take paints better because it sort of smooths it. It also goes from this texture, I don't know if I can show this on camera, but it goes from this texture to this harder plasticky shell. It sort of heat seals the entire thing. And it also gets rid of any little fuzzies or little offcuts you have. So some of this, when I heat it, all these little fuzzy bits in here are going to go away. Okay, before I jump into heating this, a quick shout out and a suggestion for you. Where we've gotten it to this point, with the rocks looking like, not so much that with the spire, but like this, while I was filming this week, another crafter put up a video where he doesn't glue them together at all. He made his modular by drilling little holes in them, and he holds them together with straws or dowels. And it makes for a super modular, super versatile system. And I was blown away. Thought it was so great. In fact, I'm a little jealous. So go check out Atmos Seeker's modular stones, and I will leave a link up that way. Plus, his channel is great. His channel is all about creating the feel, the ambiance on the table. So he does stuff with smoke machines and LEDs and just amazing stuff. So go check out Atmos Seeker's video up there in the top. All right, now I'm gonna use a blowtorch. You can use a heat gun. Mine is busted. Doesn't matter what kind of torch you use. Any of these little butane torches. If you're using like a big industrial, like heating tar on a roof torch, that's way overkill. Three things. One, always wear a mask. Mine is right here. You can't see it, but I've got mine on. About to put it up and onto my face. Remember, heat is hot, so you're always going to want to go away from yourself, and don't get it too close. You can easily burn this. We're just trying to seal that surface. And so we got fumes, we got too hot and melt it, and if you're doing something larger like this, you can easily do it away from your hand like this. If you're doing something small like this piece, I would suggest always putting something, using something to hold it in place that you're not going to hurt your hand. Like just put a pair of scissors on it to hold it, and then use the torch on that. And of course, always work on a surface that the fire's not going to hurt. Don't like melt your mat or burn your kitchen table or anything. Work on a surface that the torch isn't going to hurt. So I'm going to mask up. I'm going to fast forward through this. You'll see what it does. It's a really fast process, but I'm not going to be speaking anyway. So I'm just going to toss some music on here and let you see. Okay, I had to step away for a minute, let the fumes die out, but I am back. So, as you can see, kind of overdid it on this one, but it still gets the point across. See, all those little fuzzy bits and all those weird little sticky uppy bits are gone. So that one's ready to go. I can go paint that, or I can just toss it on my table like that. This one's actually got paint on it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got some dark browns and some blacks on it. And so that's ready to go. So these are ready if I want it like a cave decor, something like that. or if I'm someplace that's been like blasted and there's just no plants or anything. But you can also texture these up. So that one's ready to go, that one's ready to go. Here's a little bit more angular example, but it would work. You could even put that with those and be fine. Here's the different color. You're definitely going to want to paint this, unless for whatever reason your ground is yellow, which I don't know. As you can see, texture's changed. All the fuzzies are gone. No fingers were burned. And ready to go. If you like, this is a more realistic look. You've also got a sort of medium, more angular sort of what I call cel-shaded look. It looks like a lot of those cel-shaded video games I like to play. Or you can actually go all cartoony and just have something like this, and any of those will go together. That is basically it. So there you have it. Some really nice rocks for your table. They're going to look great for you. We went from basic to heat treated. Got a little paint on there, and those are good. Those aren't epic? You want more? Okay. Let's look at getting some turf and foliage on there, making them look a little better for you. Oh yeah, this is what it looks like raw, first done. You can toss it on the table, it would work. It's not my favorite way to do it, but it is quick and easy. This is 5 minutes worth of work. That's bare. This is it with the heat treating done. I used a torch. I intentionally overdid it because I like the sort of rougher texture it gives when it starts to open up a little, but that's got the harder plastic version. There you go. Heat treated. With a torch, you can also do it with a heat gun. Here is the same level of heat treatment hit with some paint. I used 3 different colors of brown, barely speckled it with some black to tone it down a little. So there you go. I've got the basic ones with the paint job on it, just paint. Next, I graveled them up. I happen to use a mixed gravel for this, or mixed sand. It's got some of these larger chunks in it. It's got some very fine sand in it. It's all in one mix. It was about $3 for a bag that I will never run out of from the hardware store, or you just go out in the backyard and grab some sand. This was put on with dabbing the glue, just regular PVA white glue, or the tacky glue, onto the flat surfaces. Made sure to well, okay, I missed, but I tried not to get any on the vertical surfaces, just the flat surfaces. So I got the sand, then I painted the sand again, just hit it with a couple of browns, and that's got the texture on it, ready to put some earth onto. And here I've put on 1 flock. I actually ended up using 2 different colors of flock on most of these, and I varied which ones went on which, but essentially they're all the same 3 shades. So this is with the first layer of the grass flocking, and here it is with 2 or 3 different colors, I honestly don't remember on this piece, of the grass flocking, and some medium foam turf to make it look like it's got little bushes. And that was just applied with the tacky glue. I just put a little bead down and pushed it into the tacky glue, and then left them to dry. That's it. They are ready to go. Okay, that's it. So there we go. We went from basic to heat treated to the base paint, through a couple other layers, and we got you some really nice pieces to put on your table. Y'all are hard to please. You don't consider that epic? Okay. Okay. We'll do epic. Boom! Big old hill. I'll show you this. I'll show you a close up on this and show you what I did on that. Give me just a sec. You know me better than that. I'm not gonna leave you hanging. So I took all of these same designs on this and made this. Got a large hill for you. Little guys can climb up there. It's a little tough to get up to it. This can be considered difficult terrain climbing it. They can climb up here. I made sure to leave a few ledges, got the little bushes in the way in a couple of spots, or you can arrange it so that you have a couple of these just arranged just so they can climb these and then hop up from there onto it. So there you go, got a hill. So there you go, showed you my mindset on the hill. Good. Really? Really? Not epic. Fine. Fine. We'll do epic. Cliff wall with a cave entrance, and it's expandable. I bring the goods, baby. So I've also got a cliff wall that'll fit right on there behind it. There you go. This Doesn't have any of the normal flocking on it, but in all of the recesses, I put moss, and I made sure that this moss, I decided I'm going to have a plan, and my plan was this moss does not like direct light, and it does not grow in clumps. It only adheres to the surface. So I smoothed it to the surface, and only where the direct light's not going to hit it. So you can see from here underneath, it's, well, you can't see from there, I'm showing you poorly. You can see from here underneath, it's pretty green. You can see all of that moss in there. But if you look at it from the top, it's all sort of hidden. That's because I made it so that it doesn't live in direct sunlight. So, got that moss going on. And it's also got a cave entrance. So, lots of playability on this one. You got the hill, you've got the hard the hard terrain to climb up, you've got all the turf. Some of this can count as coverings. You might need the moss for things. You might have a character that can climb the cliff wall. You could, this cave entrance, you don't even have to consider it being here. It could just be part of the rock wall. It could be a cave entrance that's secret and hidden and they need to find the opening, or you could just leave that out entirely and just have that be where probably not a mine, because there's not a flat area out here. I was going to say a mine entrance, but just a regular cave entrance where this goes down to a you know, subterranean for your genuine dungeon crawl. Okay, so badass isn't enough. I promised you epic. Right. So got the cliff wall, and this cliff wall is able to be attached to other cliff walls, so you can extend this all the way across the entire edge of a table. So these all fit in with the puzzle pieces, and you could fit this out to have more of the same decor. You could have a different type of rock on this. You could have a whole entrance to another temple. You could have, you know, something that looks like the entrance at Karnak or something like that. You could have a huge entrance on that, and they'll all clip together. And on the back, I even put a tray. I've got a place where you can sit your pens, your little figures, dice, whatever you want in there. Anything. I didn't make it big enough for a drink, but, you know, basically anything there. So, regular stones, Mondo Hills, cliff wall, that attaches to other pieces, and hold your gear in the back. I promised you epic. I think that's pretty epic. Well, there you have it. Interlocking backdrop. I think that's pretty epic. I hope you do too. I promised you the epic, and I'm trying to bring it to you here. So we went from bare bones basic through a whole bunch of interim steps and got to really nice on the table. All the way up to a huge build. Now, I want to say, I'd had an idea like this for a long time, but it was not nearly as good as it would have been without a great tutorial by Sean Cownley. I referred you to his channel in last week's video. This time I'm going to take you to the specific video up here in the corner where he made his version of an interlocking cliff system. His is not like mine on the front, but the interlocking part and these stable uprights on the back are totally his idea. Now, the cave and the dice rack are mine. I added those on, so sort of a mental collaboration. He gave me an idea and I went and ran with it, which is what I hope to do for you here on this channel. I hope you take my ideas and run with them. If something comes back and goes, oh, I saw this on your channel first and this other guy seems to have swiped it. Great! Awesome! Do that! Do that. I hope to inspire you. That's what I'm all about here on Campaign Terrain. So, once again, this is Campaign Terrain. Please like, share, subscribe, hit those other links. It would really help me out. Come back next week. Next week I'll be talking about how to cut EVA. This is by request. I hear you. This is from the Crazy Crafter live stream. Definitely go check out that YouTube channel. And several people on there, including Colin, the host, have requested that I show how different methods to cut the edge of the foam. So that's next week. Next week after that, I'm going to be showing more in depth on how I make a cliff wall. That's going to show all of these striated patterns and the moss work on it. And I may even throw in another one of these cave entrances. So, I hope to see you then. Like, share, subscribe, hit those other links. This is Campaign Terrain. I'm your host, Cross. I love you. And until next time, I wish you luck in your campaign. Thank you for coming.